One with us.
There is, yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
You come in here, Tom? Yeah, it's probably better.
Go to the date room.
Probably better in the room just because we'll be in here.
How you feel?
All right, thank you. You?
Sorry.
Yeah, good, thank you.
What would you say, David?
Should go smoothly. Fingers crossed. Right. Morning, guys. So, we'll start off first with Daniel from Sky, and then we'll go to Clive from CWR, Zane from ITV Central, and then Nick from Midlands Today, and then we'll get on to the embargoed section with the written press. So, Daniel, if you want to get us started, that'd be great, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Good morning, Mark. Good to see you again.
Morning.
I just wanted to ask you, first of all, what has preparation been like this week ahead of United? Has there been any difference to your normal type of week?
No. Hopefully we can keep that the same. And although that at the end of the week you've got a brilliant game to look forward to at Wembley Stadium, that's something that's certainly different. But the preparations will be the same.
On a personal level, I know we spoke about this after the Wolves game, but leading Coventry to their first semi-final since 1987 against Manchester United, how do you feel on a personal level ahead of the tie?
Excited. I think it's a brilliant opportunity for everybody. There's a lot of excitement around the city. It's like you say, it's the first time we've been since '87. So it's not a normal occasion for us. For Manchester United, it's a normal occasion for them. They play at Wembley a lot of times. There's some England internationals there, other internationals that have played at Wembley on numerous occasions, and it's an expectation for them and their supporters. So for us, it's slightly different than that. Although we've been 4 times in 7 years, so we've had an experience of Wembley, varying sort of levels of success. Last season, case in point, lost on penalty shootout, but other than that, it's been very positive. So we look forward to it. We know the challenge. There's no doubt the challenge is huge, majorly significant. But we're looking forward to it.
You mentioned that last visit to Wembley. Of course, it's a different circumstance, different competition. But do you think when you all visit back to Wembley and go back there, can it act as a bit of a motivation? Not that I'm sure you need it, but do you think they'll stir up some memories of that playoff final?
Well, a lot of the players have left, the ones that were involved last season, so there's a change in dynamic. There's a couple of lads who played in the League One final last year and came up short a little bit against Sheffield Wednesday, who scored in the last minute of extra time. So there are varying sort of memories there, but you can't go there and win every time. It's a difficult place to go. You've got to. Generally, it's a cup final and there's a lot at stake. This one's not. It's not cup final. It's cup semi-final. So it's different. So there's a whole lot of different feelings going into it, I'm sure, for the players. But it's about them. It's about how they are and how they can settle and what we can do and really want to take part in the game when we can do. We know it's a really difficult challenge. There's no doubt about it. I hear people talking about Manchester United or this or that, and the truth of it is they've got top players. They've got top players. So we've got to be able to deal with the situation, but also deal with Manchester United and the threat that they pose, which is a significant one.
And just on United, I know you were full of praise of them after the Liverpool game in the FA Cup. They haven't won since then. Do you feel there are areas, although you've mentioned how strong they can be, do you think there are areas that your side can really attack?
Let's hope so. I think first and foremost we've got to be right. We've lost 3 of our last 4. It's not brilliant form, that's for sure, at the stage of the season. For us, people are talking about, was there one eye to this game? I doubt it. Although you could be forgiven for sort of thinking about the game before it's played, due to the nature of the press call. All of the work that we've done in the lead up to this game was done prior to Birmingham City, which wasn't ideal. But we've got to learn from that. I think that's something that's different for us. I think for other teams and teams like Manchester United are, like I said, it's an expectation, so they take it in the stride. It's a little bit different for us. It's a little bit sort of a break from the norm. So it's just dealing with those things. But the game will be a really good game. It's brilliant for us. It's brilliant for our supporters, and there is a global reach there for Coventry City playing against Manchester United. You know, the world will be tuning in, and it's a great occasion for all of our players.
Thanks, Daniel. Can we go to Clive next?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi Mark.
Hi,
It's obviously a big occasion. You've had a few of those. This is perhaps a step above some of them. But your team this season in particular seems to be quite inspired by the big games, notably at Molineux and against Leicester and Leeds. Are you hoping that sort of energy will be there again for this one?
Well, if it's not, we're in trouble. So, you know, there's no choice. You've got to go into this game understanding what the threats are, and there are various ones, significant threats. They've got top players. So you've got to understand that. And for people that are talking about, you know, Manchester United are this or that, or, you know, they concede lots of shots, and they don't, you're talking about a team that is full of talented top players, top international players that are playing at that level and higher every week. Most of them are international players, if not all of them, with a lot of attributes, a lot of really positive attributes. But for us, we know that they are clearly favourites to win this game, you know, by a million miles. But they are expected to win. You know, it's as simple as that. So we know that. We know what we've got to do. We know what we are likely to encounter. But also, you know, we've got to play a part in the game in as a positive way as we possibly can do. So, you know, that's what we've got to do. We've got to try and do that and understand what this game is going to be, and also what the occasion is, and the fact that there shouldn't be any fear. You know, I think it's a big occasion. It's one of the biggest games that most of our players will have played in. That includes the playoff final, I think. You know, I think the playoff final has, for us, more significance to it, because it means you're going to compete with the likes of Manchester United every week. And that's where everybody wants to be. So, you know, that still remains our main goal. But being in the position that we're in a semi-final of an FA Cup doesn't come around that often. Everybody knows that. It's only the second time in our history. So can we go and take that on another level? But you're playing against a side that are a few notches up from where we've played in the past, against teams that we've played in the past. So it'll be a interesting game, but also one we've got to go and enjoy and give everything we possibly can.
Yeah, there's never nothing to lose for any game, but compared to the playoff final, I guess that may apply a little bit. There's perhaps less to lose from that point of view, from your point of view.
No, I agree with your first comment. You know, there's never a one that you can afford to lose or not be afraid of losing in. I think really it's a significant game. You want to try and take part in the game, and you want to try and take part in the game in a really positive manner. And you know, the support that's going to be. I'm trying to talk to the players about, you know, the ones that haven't been to Wembley before. It's going to be really interesting. They may hear the noise when we get there tomorrow, because the game will be going on, the Man City Chelsea game. So they may hear that, but they won't really feel it until you walk into the stadium and in front of all the support when the stadium's full. So, you know, it's just sort of trying to mentally prepare them a little bit, but it can't prepare you for what the reality is. You know, there's really, you walk out into the stadium and the noise hits you, and you know that reverberates all around the stadium. The acoustics are incredible, so it's really noisy. So they've got to be ready, and they've got to be able to go out and carry out the instructions as well as they possibly can do. But look, this is a game we can certainly look forward to, but we're not going in there thinking that, you know, it's all right. We know it's a significant challenge. There's no doubt about it, which is not the same as being fearful of it. You've got to go and embrace that and embrace this challenge, and it makes the experience. It gives you more experience and not regret that after the game's finished.
And from a personal point of view, to manage your team against Manchester United, where it all started as a player where you've got great FA Cup history, that's going to be a bit special for you, isn't it?
Honestly, I don't think about that. I'm proud of taking the team out and leading the team out at Wembley Stadium again. It's, but I'm proud of everybody. I think it's always a team effort, always a team effort. The fans have been incredible on this journey, incredible, and the players have been outstanding. The staff, everybody behind it. It's been a proper team effort. So it always is. For me, it's a game where, what can we do to affect it in a positive way? That's the challenge for me, for Adi, for all the staff, but certainly for the players. Once that whistle goes, it's down to them to go and execute a game plan, and if they can do that properly, then they stand a chance.
I know it's a tight-knit group. Yours, there must be a lot of sympathy for Kasey Palmer. Seems very tough on him, what's happened with his suspension.
Yeah, it's difficult. It really is difficult, and I think in the moment, it's a reaction that that we all made actually after on that day at Wolves, where you don't necessarily think too much about it. It's just in the moment, and he gets a booking, which is difficult. And when we're talking yesterday about the scrapping of replays, we end up playing a replay, so there was an extra game in that. Surely that's got to be taken. It should have been taken into account that we played the extra game in the competition. So it was really poor. But the rules, obviously, the rules are the rules. You've got to abide by them, and unfortunately for him and for us, we can't use him. He's unavailable.
Thanks, Clive. Can we go to Zane at ITV
Thanks,
next,
Mark.
please?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Zane from ITV Central. A lot of people, obviously.
Sorry, Erin. Can you just mute yourself, please?
Oh. Sorry about that. So yeah, obviously there's a lot of hype around Coventry at the moment, but obviously you're established in kind of United folklore, and kind of a lot of people attribute you to being the reason why Sir Alex was kept in the job and went on to achieve so much at United. Would it be kind of funny or weird for you to kind of be responsible for knocking United out of this competition?
No.
Have you got one?
Yeah.
We can do
Nearby friends.
Sorry, guys.
Can you still hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we should still be there. Zane, are you still there?
Yeah, I don't know if you can. I don't know if you managed to hear my question.
I heard your question. Yeah, but the answer's no. I think I've got no agenda other than trying to prepare the team the best we can to go and put a performance on that we can be proud of, that we can go there and stand a chance in a game that we know is really, really difficult. For me, it's not about anything other than that. It's not about me, that's for sure.
Thank you. And so kind of obviously yesterday's news about the scrapping of FA Cup replays, how significant do you think that is for teams like kind of around the lower leagues in particular? And obviously Coventry beat Sheffield Wednesday to get to the semi-finals eventually with the replay. Is that kind of anything that you'd like to comment on?
We got to the quarterfinals in the replay because we played Wolves in the quarters. So look, that's for the powers that be. They've made a decision and they've scrapped the replays. It's as simple as that. It's difficult, really, because you look at it, and those clubs and the grassroots and the EFL and below are all part of the pyramid that needs to feed each other, and eventually feeds the Premier League. So there's a lot of players that come out of academies from Premier League teams that get the training, the game time, the understanding, the experience, and then they go back and they go and make it at the clubs. Sometimes they get into the international teams. We've all played our part in that and developing them, and that should never be underestimated or forgotten about. And I think that there are other things that may have happened, like replays up until the third round, which doesn't impact on the bigger clubs, the teams that have made this decision, or the FA and the Premier League. So at the end of the day, it does kick everybody in the teeth that are below that level. There's no doubt about it. But it just is what it is. There's nothing we can do about that. Apart from voice concerns and maybe there's a rethink or whatever for those clubs. But I think it's really difficult for them to sort of come to terms with.
Thank you. And how important do you think that a good performance in the semi-final would kind of like move Coventry forward in the season? Do you think that a good performance could probably spur Coventry to kind of finish in the playoffs? And do you think it's possible to kind of manage both, top six hopes and an FA Cup semi-final?
Look, we've got 4 games left in the league. We've lost 3 out of 4 in the league, which has severely damaged our chances of getting in there. Norwich are a really good team that are actually picking up brilliant performances and points. You've got Hull, Preston, Middlesbrough on the coattails, us as well. After this weekend, we might be 11 points behind. It's very, very unlikely we're getting in the playoffs. So this is a game where we can go and fully focus on that. The game after it is on Wednesday against Hull at home. 3 out of the last 4 are at home. We play Blackburn Rovers away at the weekend following. And, we'd have to pick up 4 wins to stand any opportunity of getting in there. I don't think it's realistic to assume that we can do that this season. It's when it matters the most, the size of the squad, the players, the lack of ability to rotate and rest players when they needed it, that has an impact on everybody. But we know that we are where we are in the pecking order. We know where we need to get to, but we've got to try and do that and bridge those gaps that we can moving forward. So, for us, this is a big game. It's the second time in the club's history that we've been in a semi-final of an FA Cup. So, for us, yes, it's a significant occasion. We know the challenge. We know Manchester United is the biggest club in the world. There's no doubt about it. So, we know that they've got top talents in the side. But obviously, if you cannot go and enjoy that, then you shouldn't be playing.
And if I can ask one last question, what I know you talked about previously about how a lot of your players have moved on from last season and the last time that Coventry were at Wembley. What will you be saying to your players ahead of the fixture, just to try and kind of get them in that mindset that they can go and perform and potentially cause an upset?
Yeah. You don't need to say it. It's how we prepare. So we prepare as normal. You keep everything as normal as possible. You try and keep everything as normal as possible, even though you're in an abnormal position, as we've sort of outlined. The players are aware of it. They don't need reminding of it. They really need to make sure we're as relaxed as possible, and they've got an understanding of what we want to do and what we have to do to try and be in the game. So it's as simple as that. And if they stick to it, then it gives us a chance of being in the game and staying in the game. As soon as they come away from it, we'll get caught. It's as simple as that. But we have also got to be a threat. We've got to carry a threat, because otherwise we'll just be sat there for 90 minutes and nobody wants that.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Nick at Midlands today, plays next.
Hello, Mark. You know full well the journey that the fans and yourself have been on over the last few years. How important is it to give them another special occasion like this?
We've already given them a special occasion just being there. Being in the same stadium, the National Stadium against Manchester United. It doesn't get much bigger than that, really. I think we've got to embrace that. We've got to understand that, and put that into perspective and not get carried away, because there is a chance where pundits, people in football talk in a derisory way about Manchester United and what they're doing and how they're performing, and realistically they've got top players and they can hurt anybody on the day. The game against Liverpool, even the 2-2 draw the other week, the goals were outstanding. They can go from back to front. The counter-attacks scintillating at times. So you've got a lot of things to consider when you go up against them, especially as a Championship club going up against the biggest club in the world. So you've got that, but also we've got to go there with an understanding that we can join in, we can take part in the game. I think that's the biggest thing for me. And then the supporters are proud of the team anyway. There's a real connect between the supporters and the players. It's been brilliant that for a long time now. So that's been part of the success, and that's that will continue no matter what happens, and the supporters will be behind the team until the end of until the final whistle.
Anyone that watched the quarter-final, though, will know that you have the quality of players to hurt a very good Premier League team. So if they perform as they did in that game, Manchester United will know all about it, won't they?
Your words. We've got to prepare the way we see fit. We have to prepare in a way that makes sense. It makes sense to to us in terms of what we're going to face. It's as simple as that. We've got to prepare properly. We've got to stick to that game plan, and that will give us our best opportunity. It's as simple as that.
Maybe then, do I detect a fresh semi-final haircut?
It doesn't take me long now, I'm afraid. It was about 3 minutes 27 seconds, I think, yesterday, from getting into the chair to getting out of the chair and leaving the shop. But thank you, thank you for noticing.
Okay, you're a lucky one.
Thank you.
Right, we go to the embargo section now. So, Andy, if you want to get us started, and then if we can have some raised hands, who wants to go after Andy, please?
Morning, Mark.
Morning, Andy.
I'll be as quick as I can. Mark, just a quick check on injuries, please. I think Jamie's the only outstanding one other than Tats. Is Jamie anywhere near?
Jamie is joining in today, so he's been around it this week. So he's joining training today. So we'll see. He may end up sneaking onto the bench.
That would be nice for him anyway, wouldn't it? And just on Kasey, on Kasey. I mean, how's he cope with the disappointment? And can you use his character and his experience, his effervescent sort of personality in the dressing room on the day to sort of help the boys?
Interesting. I think Kasey has handled it as well as you could expect. I think he's devastated that he can't take part in it and feels aggrieved, I think. But the rules are the rules. We've got to abide by those, and it's as simple as that. So he has to deal with it, and he will deal with it. And he's sort of. Yeah, he can be around that, no problem. He will be good to have around everybody. It's just how he deals with it on the day, because when he sees everything, the build-up, the preparations are different. When you go in there, there'll definitely be a sense of disappointment. There is no doubt. You can't help but do it because it's such a special occasion. When you see and feel the atmosphere, it's just really, really sad for him.
Thanks, Mark. All the best.
Thank you.
Cheers, Andy. James Robson, do you want to go next?
Hi, Mark.
Hello.
1990 is iconic for certain generations. I wonder how many of your players were aware of your history that year, or are aware now?
They were all born after 1990, so none of them.
Yeah. So, have they all been educated about it since?
Absolutely not. I don't speak about things like that. We just talk about them. It doesn't matter what I've done or what I did, and in fairness, I was a substitute in a cup final. Was it 34 years ago? That was a brilliant occasion for us, for Manchester United. There was funnily enough, a replay in a final back at Wembley on the Thursday after drawing 3-3 with Crystal Palace in the first game, and then won 1-0 in the second game. That was part of my experience. That was, it was fantastic. There were two substitutes in those days, so to get on the bench in the first place when there was a lot of talented individuals that didn't make it. So it puts it into perspective. United have always been a top club, and to be involved in that was a brilliant experience. To win the competition, I'd just broken into the team or into the squad, and then and played a part in the run up to the final. So it was a brilliant time. What can I say? It's part of my experience, part of my footballing background, history, but it's a long time ago. So I think this is totally different. Management is totally different than playing, and really it's not anything to do with me. It's not about me. It's all about the players and the preparation and their understanding of the preparation and how they can execute against a top team.
I ask you what your assessment is of United? You've mentioned on a couple of occasions already today that the being talked about in derisory manner, and also the amount of shots that they concede, that sort of thing. There seems to be a lot of negativity around the club. Having been there, I guess you understand that from the inside. But what's your assessment of them?
I think that, people and players need to understand the institution that it is, and the scrutiny that's always around Manchester United and clubs like Manchester United in the Premier League in this day and age. And I think that there is a lot of difference. Obviously, social media wasn't around when I was there, and that has an impact on individuals. If you want to take part in that, it can have an impact on you, but choose not to take part in it. I think really there's a focus and a demand to win trophies and play in a certain way, and like all clubs have. And I think they've got top players. I think they've got really top players in there that can do damage to any team, and you've seen it. And I think that is something that they're trying to change, is just that consistency and getting the level of performance and the consistency in that. But it's a top club. You've no getting away from that, and they will be a force very soon, even more so than they are now. And for us as a Championship club preparing against them, it's totally different than anything we've faced before. So, whilst that is true, what is also true, we can't go into this game with any doubt about what we're about to face and about what we can do to take part in it, and how we need to be within it, both mentally, tactically, physically. It's going to be different, and it's going to be tough, and we've got to embrace it, because that is the day. That's what's going to happen. And like I said before, we've faced opponents that are outstanding teams and outstanding players before. This is a step up from what we've done so far. I remember a few years ago we faced Brighton and Hove Albion in round 5, and we lost the game 3-1 down at the Amex, and they were absolutely outstanding on the day. We were a League 2 team at the time, and so how they move. How Brighton and Hove Albion on the day were absolutely incredible. We couldn't really get anywhere near them. We lost 3-1 in the end. We managed to get a goal. But we are a different animal now. We're totally different, and players have got aspirations to play in the Premier League. For me, for them, it is a chance to see how they perform, regardless of anything around the game. See how they perform against a top team.
Thanks, James. What's Chris next?
Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Hi, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, excellent. When you face a team like Manchester United, how do you go? Obviously, I'm not asking you to reveal any trade secrets, but do you try and stop the individuals like Bruno Fernandes, or do they just have too many threats for you to do that?
It's a fine balancing act. That's for sure. When you're looking at them, they've got threats. They've got threats everywhere. So we know that, we understand it. We just got to try and deal with it as best we can do. But physically, I think they're different. Premier League players are different. I think they are. Certainly, they see things in a different way. They see things quicker. They execute really well most of the time. That they can shoot from distance. They can try and open you up, or they can open you up, and the counter is a significant weapon for them. So they're a top team. They've got lots of good players. So we're a Championship team trying to face a top team in the Premier League. But again, there's no point underestimating or saying that they're this or that when clearly we have to face threats that they have. The top players, their squad has been built with vast amounts of money. So, we know what we're facing. There's top players there, and we're just looking forward to it. The players will be looking forward to it, no doubt. They just need to focus on what we ask them to do.
Chris, I'm just conscious of time, so if we can go to Nick next, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Morning, Mark.
Morning.
Hiya. Just briefly going back to the FA Cup replay issues. I know you touched on it, but I mean, does it really help the calendar? I mean, we're talking about player welfare a lot in terms of the games that the guys play across the levels. But does it help the player welfare, especially when there's no winter break, for instance, in the Premier League from the next season as well?
Well, I'll throw it back to you. I think, what would you say about having replays up to round 3? Doesn't impact the teams at that top end. You know, the teams that have, or the Premier League and the FA have made that decision, haven't they? So, you know, ultimately it's the decision's made. So there's nothing anybody can do. I think really it's a done deal. So, you know, there's no point going over that. But, you know, for me, is there a case to have replays up until round 3?
Do you think they made a mistake?
Listen, I don't know. I'm here as a football manager to prepare a team to play against Manchester United. I'm not going to get involved in all of that. I'm afraid where I'm not involved in that decision-making process. So it is what it is.
Thanks, Nick. Can we go to Jonathan?
Thank you.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Jonathan, North Coast Sunday Times. Just looking at your sort of your journey at Coventry, really, which has been remarkable. I mean, you built teams, you've rebuilt teams, you've developed players. You know, you've steered the club through sort of difficult times. It looks like you've done a kind of more of a management job rather than well, on top of a coaching job in an era where that's becoming more and more unusual. I just wondered how much of that comes from your heritage at Manchester United and watching how Sir Alex Ferguson went about things.
I think that's a fair point. I've got a really good coach with Adi Vivash. I've just lost a really good coach with Dennis Lawrence, who's gone to the MLS. I'll look to redress the balance in the summer. We've got John Dempster stepped up from the academy, who's been brilliant with us. Brilliant experience for him. So, you know, it's great having him around and his input as well. So, but you're right. I think, you know, in terms of coaching, I did a lot of coaching, most of the coaching in years gone by. But as things developed here, it was more of a necessity to manage this and make sure things were in the right shape to move it forward. So my role has changed significantly over time here. So things have been in place, and I've put things in place to ensure that we got and the players got everything that they needed, whilst I could oversee what was happening on a day-to-day basis and make sure that kept going in the right direction and keeps going in the right direction. Things have changed again with new ownership. You know, that's slightly changed, so my role will sort of change again. We've got a new performance director in with Claire Marie Roberts, who's come in from the Premier League, who's been working there for the last 10 years. So we'll be working closely in terms of trying to put things in place that mean that we can function and operate in a way that gives us the best opportunity of operating at the top end of the Championship. So, you know, that's a fair comment. I think with Sir Alex and what I saw him do, you know, it's different because it was totally different for in that era. Totally different. Managers were managers. You know, coaches were coaches, and things have changed. I think now football's going to an era of head coaches with sporting directors and things like that, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. I think really it just means that you've got to have people in the place that can, or in the right roles, that can deliver and make sure that it delivers for that individual football, because it's all unique. Everybody's unique. You know, football clubs are all unique. So you've got to get a handle on that pretty quickly, and then get an understanding of what's required, what your parameters are, because we really had tight parameters and operated in that area, and it was, you know, it was really, really tough. But that has been sort of what's happened in my career. The first job I had was at Rotherham United. We lost the stadium at Millmoor. We lost the training ground. I ended up getting a training ground outside of the Keep Moat at Doncaster, which was a brand new facility. So we used that for a couple of years. We moved into Don Valley Stadium, which is no longer there now. We were there for a few years until I left and went to Barnsley, but there was a lot of upheaval, 17-point deduction, 10-point deduction, move the stadiums. It was born out here again when we went to Birmingham, and those things can stand you in good stead. Those experiences can stand you in good stead to be able to cope with it, because for most people it's unfathomable that a football club could lose its status in its own town or city and lose the chance to play in the stadium that was built for it. And that unfortunately has happened at a couple of football clubs that I've been at, and thankfully we've managed to guide it in the right direction and looking up now. So this for us is a big game, but there have been more significant challenges along the way, that's for sure.
So guys, we're going to have to just finish it there now, I'm afraid, just conscious of time, because we've got Ellis to come in next, I'm afraid. So we'll just finish it there, and Ellis is going to come straight in. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Boom.